What's up, guys? I'm Olivia.
And I'm Kyle.
And we're driving and vibing.
Today's Thursday, so that means it is time for another one of our Q&A sessions, so stay tuned.
Welcome back to our channel, everyone. Thank you guys so much for joining us today and for all of your wonderful questions this week. If you have any questions for us to answer next week, please leave those in the comments below.
We love these videos because it's a fun opportunity for us to interact directly with the community, and we make them every week. So yeah, if you have a question, please leave that below because we love to answer these on the video. We got a bunch today, so let's go ahead and jump in. First up is Julianne, and she says, do you already have a waiting list of people who want to buy your old trailer?
So we have had quite a few people reach out, and it's so early on that we really haven't been keeping track. We've been telling everyone that it's going to be quite some time before we're ready to sell the trailer, and we will make an announcement when that time comes and then start taking people's numbers and things like that.
We have no idea how much the trailer is even worth. It hasn't even really crossed our mind, that whole process yet. So we would love to hear your opinion on what you think the Fiber Stream's worth, just for the fun of it, because we have no clue. And
we're gonna be living in it for most of the year still. It's still our home right now, and so closer to time we will be more ready to come up with that figure and really start seriously thinking about selling it.
Now up we have Heart Ponder, and they say, would you say you are ahead of schedule? It looks like it. Honestly, I don't think we're ahead of schedule. I think we're just slightly behind schedule for what I wanted done in March. If you go back and look at our progress report video from last month, I think I wanted the frame to already be getting worked on by the end of March, but that's about to roll up right around the corner.
But I mean, really, we didn't have such a rigid plan to follow, and honestly, for my expectations, we have exceeded them. I thought we would be way farther behind than we are now, and we've gotten so much done, so I'm really proud of the progress we've made so far.
Me too, and I do think that in the next month, we might have a challenge as far as hurry up and wait, because we have to wait for the axles to be delivered. We can go ahead and dive into this frame. I think once we put some really serious time into this, we'll knock that out in 2 weeks. But then we have to do the axles, and then the subfloor, and then we'll get it dropped back on this sucker behind us. We have RV and RC now, and they say, have you thought about staking the shell down so the wind cannot get under it and lift it up?
So we did go ahead and anchor it with some just extra cinder blocks we had, but honestly, the shell is so heavy now and so stable with all of the supports we put in place and the big beams that go far out on either side of it, that it's actually more stable than it was when it was just sitting on the frame. It used to rock and wobble, and this thing is solid. It is not going anywhere, but for extra security, we did go ahead and just strap it down to some of those blocks.
And like Olivia said about the beams giving a support, that normally wouldn't have happened that way, but instead of just having it set on the beams, we decided to tie the entire frame into the beams, and those beams extend further out than the tires would have, so that gives it even more stability.
Yes.
Now we have Aaron P, and he says, hard to gauge from the time lapse, how long did it take from the first crank of the jacks to rolling the frame out?
It felt like it went by really, really quickly, but when I asked Kyle this question the other day, he said he thought about 2 hours or so. And that seems about right because we're doing it in such small increments and just putting a block under a little bit at a time and doing back to front, and so it was just a little here and there, so I do think it was probably spread out.
And in all fairness, the way the question was worded, I said 2 hours because we did a test crank first. And in that test crank, we raised it 2 inches and then dropped it back down. And then we kind of worked from what we learned from that test crank. And maybe from the time we really did the first crank after that test crank, it was more like an hour and 15 minutes, but... Yeah,
I feel like there was this stage when we were just first getting any blocks underneath it and kind of putting little wooden block supports on the inside. That part took longer, but once it got down to putting that last layer of cinder blocks all around to the final height it was going to be, that took minutes even.
Each inch was incrementally faster of getting it raised as the process went on.
Yes, it got faster and faster the higher we got.
Now we have Lisa, and they say, did you guys do the same when renovating the Fiber Stream? So we did not lift the Fiber Stream off the frame. We did not do nearly as much in-depth work. But what we did do on the Fiberstream was like the solar, a lot of cabinetry, wood floors. We kind of upgraded the electrical.
And not even the whole cabinet, just cabinet doors.
Yeah.
So we were working off of existing structures inside and outside of the trailer. The biggest modifications we did on the Fiberstream is we extended the tongue a bit and reinforced some sections of the frame that were just a little weak in our opinion.
Lots of welding going on there, and that took us a total of about 6 months, 4 to 6 months, but we had a lot of fear going into it and an extreme lack of knowledge, never RV'd before. So with this one, even though it's a bigger project, we will go at a faster pace, I believe.
Yeah. Next up we have Paul, and he said, "You are such a great couple. What is one important thing that you learned from each of your parents?"
Good question. We've never gotten this one before. One of my favorite lessons that I really learned was just that whatever I decide to do in life, do it with passion, because it's no use wasting my time or anyone else's time if I'm not passionate about what I'm working on.
Yeah, and so mine is kind of similar, and my mom just always really instilled that happiness is the most important thing. It doesn't matter how much money you have or where you are in life, it's your attitude going into it and just following what makes you happy and what will bring you fulfillment in life, and to not get stuck on the material things in life.
And it seems like these lessons have proven to make an impact on our lives, so we're grateful for sure.
I think we're living it for sure.
Next up is Christine. They say, "How old are y'all? What do your parents think of your travels?"
So I am 25 and Kyle is 35, and our parents are super supportive and they love what we're doing.
Yep, we never had concerns by our parents at all.
No.
Jerry Judd says, "You bought a T-Mobile hotspot. As you traveled, are you pleased with it? I am considering the purchase of a hotspot." So it's hard to talk on these hotspots, both our AT&T and T-Mobile, because we do love both of these units. They have served us well, but none of the plans are available now, as far as if you would want to go get the plans that we have.
They come out with these new releases and they're really awesome, and then they figure out how many people jump on board these awesome deals, and they quickly have to cut them off and remove them because it gets bogged down. No one thing is going to be perfect everywhere, so having backups is great. As always, we highly recommend checking out the Mobile Internet Handbook by Chris and Cherie of Technomadia, and their Mobile Internet Aficionados membership is a great way to stay in the loop and updated on all the newest things. They test products, everything. I mean, those guys know their stuff, so.
That's exactly how we got every plan that we've got, is through their knowledge and their sharing. Yep. We definitely recommend a hotspot, but you're just gonna have to keep up to date with the next new thing. But yes, we've been pleased with ours, but we can't recommend it because you can't get it. Next up is Bill Walsh, and he says, "Have you ever considered a car generator that uses your tow vehicle for power?" So no, this has never been a consideration, but what we would like to wire in our kind of hookup right now from the tow vehicle to the trailer is that whenever we're driving down the road, that we'll be charging up the battery during that process.
And I think that's how most RVs and travel trailers work, but for some reason we weren't able to do that with the Fiberstream.
Next up is Lori, and she says, "We are looking at a fifth wheel that is 28 feet long and 12 and 7 inches in height. With all the boondocking you've done, do you think you will be limited as far as the height restrictions go?" I don't think limitations and height restrictions would be that prevalent. It's mostly clearance issues as far as boondocking sites.
Yeah, the roads and how high the trailer is up off of the ground more than anything. And it's really just going to depend where you're boondocking. If you're in a very forested area, you might want to scout it out first in your tow vehicle, or just read reviews and make sure, because there might be lower hanging limbs.
Or bridges too, maybe.
Bridges, yes, but for the most part, out in the Southwest especially, you are not going to have any problem at all. I would just recommend doing your research ahead of time on Campendium and free campsites to read other people's reviews.
Next up is Charlie, and they say, "I know you've talked about getting a bigger truck. What is your thoughts on an SUV instead of a F-150? Something that would kind of seal it up a little bit better, but you would still have that storage space."
I don't think we have really considered an SUV thus far. We have more so thought about getting like a camper shell for a truck.
One thing that I really don't like about the SUV deal is that we want to be able to store our generator somewhere, but we don't want those fumes possibly from gasoline or our gas tank even coming into the cab area of what we're driving. And that's really why a truck has been a better option for us. That is really one of the sole reasons for me.
Next up we have Ted, and he says, hey guys, longtime follower and fellow RVer part-time. My question is, what is the purpose of taking off the shell completely? Seems like you can get to the frame for repairs and also be able to install new floor at the current teardown level.
So to really repair the C-channel, we would have had to raise the shell at least 2 or 3 inches no matter what. And at that point, we really wanted to dive deep into the frame of the trailer to sandblast it, fix any rust issues, treat the metal, re-weld, beef it up if we need to, and all of those processes would happen better if we just towed this out.
Yeah, it can all happen with the shell on. That was our original plan. It's just a little bit more difficult. It's really awkward and hard to get those plywood pieces to fit in perfectly and snugly because you have the channel on each side, so we would end up having to cut those boards in half, and it would be just a little less structurally sound. I would rather not have the seams down the middle, but rather going across those crossbars on the frame. And
in the Airstream community, this is a common renovation process. I know it doesn't seem natural for other RVs, but really among Airstreams, this is not out of the norm.
And at this teardown level, most people recommend just going ahead and taking the shell off to do a proper renovation, because now we have this frame out and we can sandblast it so easily, not worry about damaging any other part of the shell. We can put our new axles on, treat the rust, paint it, whatever we need to do, and it'll be so much easier. We'll install the subfloor right on the frame and then just roll it right back under and screw it back down into it.
So Stephen Anders has a question, 2 questions really. He was talking about our sticker map and wondering if we ever thought about doing a virtual map instead, and wondering how much delay we have in our videos from real time.
So yeah, a virtual map would be a great way, I think, to start the new year in the Airstream. We've had a lot of requests of people wanting to be able to see our routes and the different places we stayed, and we've gotten some recommendations in the past of different programs to use, and we will be sure to get that set up, I think, before we hit the road again.
And as far as real time versus when the videos come out, currently right now it's usually at most just a day or 2. We're very real time right now. If we are out boondocking or traveling and want some privacy, then we might wait 5 days, you know, to release that type of information. But we like to stay pretty relevant as far as the timing, because there are so many opportunities that come about with our community and sharing the information.
Definitely, but to protect our privacy at times, we release after we leave the location.
So Gordon says, when completed, will your remodel Argosy be lighter than the original, heavier, or about the same?
I hope it's about the same. I think it will be slightly a bit heavier just because of the types of materials we will be using to build the cabinets and closets and stuff like that, but we're gonna be very aware of that when choosing those materials to try to get the lightest possible but still be sturdy.
And with that, we'll also have heavier axles on here, and we might add some metal to the frame. So even if it does weigh a little bit more, we'll compensate for that as far as how the frame is structurally put together too.
Next up we have Lori, and she said, real good Q&A this week, some questions. My question is, are you going to name your new home?
We never named the Fiberstream, and honestly, I don't like the idea of giving our homes a name, but if Olivia likes it, then I'll be happy to.
I don't really think we're for or against it necessarily, but we were kind of waiting for a name to come to us. My family thought that our Fiberstream looked like a jelly bean, so in their head, they kind of think of it as the jelly bean, I think. But it's just one of those things that I think will come to us naturally. Yeah,
for me, the Fiberstream is Driving and Vibing 1.0, and this would be Driving and Vibing 2.0, but that's not very creative.
Yeah, to me, it's the Fiberstream and the Argosy right now in my head. But I'm open to a nickname if one arises. If you have any ideas, go ahead and leave those in the comments.
Now we have Meg, and she says, hey Olivia, we are wanting to hit the road and we are purging lots of clothes. What do you suggest for a female minimal closet for an active travel lifestyle?
So the basics, pretty much. A couple pairs of shorts and jeans, lots of t-shirts, and good tennis shoes. That's what I wear almost every single day. And I brought dresses and some skirts and cute sandals when we first hit the road. I don't know what I thought we were going to be going and doing, but I never, ever, ever wore them. If you go out more often and kind of do date night type things and want to look nice, then maybe you should bring 1 or 2 of those. But we found ourselves out hiking and exploring and getting dirty, so those things really didn't come in handy for me and just took up space.
And I don't know if you mentioned it or not, but leggings or exercise pants.
Oh yeah,
huge,
definitely.
Yeah.
Lots of good workout gear that can be just versatile because you're always active and on the move.
Sassy Taco says, you mentioned that you will continue to use a composting toilet. I'm curious to whether you will add a second gray tank to replace the black tank and use the separate space for more you know, water or gray water, something like that. We'll probably upgrade our gray water tank rather than put 2 tanks in here.
But it's possible,
yeah,
if it doesn't fit. The Argosy actually only came with 1 tank, so we just have 1 gray and black
yeah,
tank, I guess is what it is, or either it was just a black and maybe they ran the gray water out. I don't know what was going on at the time when they built this, but they only put 1 tank in here, and there is room for a second one behind it, or we could put 1 large one back there.
But there's not even room right there because that's where the water comes out. We have probably like 6 inches on that side, but we could go like 2 feet on the other side.
Definitely.
So we do have room to upgrade for sure.
Yeah, it's one of those things. We definitely want to expand our gray tank capacity. I don't think we'll add any more fresh water storage,
I don't think so.
It's already upgrade from the Fiber Stream.
Last up is Wally Jordan, longtime viewer and commenter. He says, being in humid south, is the AC going to be definitely required, or will something like a Fantastic fan keep the airflow in the small RV circulating and avoid running the AC? Right now it's a combo of both.
Yeah, I think it depends on what time of year you're in the south. Right now the AC is necessary. It's running right now next to us because the height of the day it's just so hot, and at night you definitely need it to cool off and rest well. Maybe if you come in the fall or winter you won't need it at all, but I would recommend having it.
We like having it just for the sake that we can use it when we need to. If we're traveling, there are months sometimes where we don't use it and just use the Fantastic fan, but you never know where you're gonna be, so having that as an option is good.
So thank you guys for all of your wonderful questions and for joining us today. If you have any questions, don't forget, leave those in the comments below, and go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that.
Yes, this is one of our favorite videos to make every week. I say it every week because it's true. So thank you again for being a part of the community, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye guys.